So the Rugby Championship gets underway this weekend. Welcome back to the channel. Preview video, I'm going to speak about each team and go through what I see as some of the big talking points for them ahead of the start of the Rugby Championship this weekend in the video. And you can have your say in the comments section. So when you look at the Springboks, the All Blacks, the Wallabies and Argentina, what are the big things that come to mind? What are the questions ahead of the Rugby Championships? What are the realistic expectations? What's the team news that you're intrigued by? Give me your views in the comments and I'm going to go through my views for each team. So welcome back. Did a Springboks team news video yesterday. We are into the week and we are into the build up to the opening round of fixtures on Saturday, which I can't wait for. Should be some great games. I want to start off here with the Springboks. They're the defending champions. I think it's the right place to start. As I said yesterday, I absolutely love the fact that they just went team news on a Monday. And I suppose with the fact that they are the defending champions, the question for me this year, for this Springboks team, for Rassie Erasmus and Siya Kolisi and co, can they back it up? There's very few questions left to answer really for this team. In fact, you could argue there are no questions really to answer. They're the back-to-back World Cup champions. They won a Lions Tour. They've been the #1 team in the world. They have done things to change the game and revolutionise the game in the way that a lot of the great teams often do. But if I was to be really critical and to look at this team and say, all right, what's next? What's the next hurdle? Because you can't just stay in the same place. You have to keep consistently pushing on and looking to be better and better, which I think is the standards they drive themselves. For me, it's can they back it up? That's a pretty obvious one for this Rugby Championship because, and I had to double check this, in Tri-Nations and Rugby Championship history, South Africa have never gone back to back. For a country of such rugby heritage, of such incredible teams and players, they've never won back-to-back championships. So that's the opportunity that knocks for them here. And they're going to be the favourites to do just that as well. So can they back it up is something I'm intrigued in. The other big question, I suppose, for the Springboks, if we look at this team, we look at this year and we look at what are the challenges then for a team that has accomplished everything really in a rugby sense. What are the next challenges? Eden Park, the All Blacks. 50 games, 30 years, unbeaten. A couple of years ago, it was kind of given the big billing, wasn't it? And they weren't quite able to win. But that is going to be massive, like absolutely huge. Can they be the team against your biggest rivals to end possibly the biggest streak in the sport, the most impressive streak in the sport, going back decades? Can they win at Eden Park? Yeah, I can't wait for that. How do we think they're going to approach it? Now, we kind of have already seen a little bit here because of the fact they have named their team for the first match against the Wallabies. As I said in the video I did, I probably expected them to not go quite as strong for this game, but I think regardless of that, we will see them rotate. I think we will continue to see Rassie Erasmus rotate, get players game time, and they've just got such strength in depth that they're able to, aren't they? I think we'll see them full strength for those test matches against the All Blacks. We see them really strong this weekend against the Wallabies. But I think some of those other matches, you will see some sort of rotation. Players with less caps continue to get more caps and build experience and continue to have half an eye on the next World Cup, which is, what, in 4 years? Which is kind of terrifying. Sorry, 4 years? 2 years, I mean. 2 years' time, which is terrifying. Who are the players to come through as well for the Springboks? I still have a question of number 8, of can they build the depth there? I know Jasper Wiese has been that guy, suspended for the match this weekend, so Siya Kolisi is playing 8. Are we going to see the continuation of Sasha Feinberg, Mngomezulu, and him coming into the team? But where else in this squad? They have so many players coming through. They have such strength in depth. What's the development from a player point of view for the Springboks team this year? Let me know, Springbok fans, who are the players that you think we're going to see really come through into this team and over the next few years maybe be a bit of a mainstay? Let's get on to the All Blacks, because I'm really intrigued in them. Year 2 of Scott Robertson. And I think when you look at the squad that he's selected, is there more of an eye? Is this fair, All Blacks fans, of building depth? And you look at some of the positions in this team, one in particular for me, of where are the questions in terms of if they're looking to build a really all-round competitive squad, behind Roygaard at 9, who is the second choice? Is that an area that they need to build depth? Is that going to be one of the main aims for Scott Robertson in year 2? He's kind of established himself now, had 1 year under his belt. Now does he need to build depth? And 9 in particular, I think, is an area that they might look to do that. And then if we're looking at the fixtures, how do the All Blacks approach Argentina with the Springboks to come? Is it full bore, give players game time so that they are fit and firing, ready to go ahead of facing the Springboks? Or do you hold them back a little bit? Are you looking to rotate players? How they go against Argentina, I think, is going to be really interesting. But despite some of the questions I think you could throw at the All Blacks, and perhaps the accusation that they're not the all-conquering All Blacks teams that we've seen previously, it's still such a good side, isn't it? I mean, potentially as a forward pack, for example, I just jotted down Williams, Taylor, Lomax. I know Williams and Lomax at the moment have got injuries, aren't they? So we'll see how they fare. Barrett, Holland, Vai, Surveyor, Satiti. Possibly Parker as well. I've seen some people suggest he could come in at 6. But they have still such strength in depth, I think. Well, maybe not strength in depth at 9, but they have such strength overall. When you look at some of the players available to them, I think this is still a serious All Blacks outfit, and I cannot wait to see them go up against all the teams in the Rugby Championship, in particular, though, against the Springboks. That's going to be awesome. So year 2 of Scott Robertson, what does it look like? All right, what about the Wallabies? This is a team that at this moment in time I probably have the best understanding of because I've been on the Lions tour. And I guess off the back of the Lions tour and having been there, my question for the Wallabies is, how good are they? And can they do it over the course of a whole Rugby Championship? I witnessed firsthand in that Lions series, when they have their best players available, when Will Skelton is playing, when Rob Valentini is playing, when they have Langy Gleeson fit and coming off the bench, when they have their best players available, the Wallabies, I think, can go toe-to-toe with pretty much anyone. But are they able to do it consistently? Which I think has probably been the question mark for Australia over the last few years. They will have the odd game against South Africa or the All Blacks or England at Twickenham when they won up here last year, where they have exceptional results and really good performances, but it is stringing it together. Now, we've seen at the end of the Lions tour, I thought they were pretty poor in the first test, personally. Much better in the second test and were unlucky not to win. Really good in the third test, played the conditions and everything so much better than the Lions, deservedly won pretty comfortably. Can they back it up in the Rugby Championship? And they have an incredibly tough task of heading to South Africa first up. So I don't know if they're going to win those games. But can they at least be competitive? Can they show the physicality and niggle and get in their faces in the way that they did to the Lions? And maybe, I've seen plenty of people say this, that perhaps we're going to see actually that the Lions weren't all that great, depending on how Australia get on in this championship. We'll wait and see. I'm also delighted, by the way, that Salakai Alotto has been included in the Wallabies squad. Clearly, I think, should have been there for the Lions series, was really good when he came up against the Lions in the tour games, caused them problems, particularly in that game at Marvel in Melbourne between the First Nations and Pacifica 15 and the Lions, was in their faces, was physical, was the sort of physicality you felt the Wallabies lacked early on in that series. So I'm glad that he is there. But you're also coming up against the most physical team in world rugby, arguably the second most physical team in New Zealand. They're certainly involved as well. Argentina on their day and no mugs. So I think it's going to be a real challenge for Australia, but I just want to see, I suppose, that element of progression. The final thing I'll say for the Wallabies before finishing with Argentina is, what do you do at fly half? Tom Liner ruled out. James O'Connor has come in. Taine, Edmed as well has come in, having previously trained with them in the build-up to the Lions series, not being involved in the 3 test matches. And then you've got Ben Donaldson. I suppose the obvious thing is Ben Donaldson, who has been there the whole time, was involved in the test series, albeit was mainly on the bench. So does he come in? Do you go over James O'Connor because he's got experience, but that doesn't exactly look like a team that is building towards a home World Cup in a couple of years? What's the best option at fly half, and how is fly half such an issue continually for the Wallabies? I find it amazing how these things work out. You look at England, for example, that are one of the best teams in the world without being the best team in the world, but you've got probably three options at fly half for England, in Marcus Smith, George Ford, Finn Smith. If you wanted to throw Owen Farrell in the discussion as well, you could do, of top quality fly half options. And then you look at Australia, and for years and years, they've really struggled to find their consistent option at fly half, and it continues to be a pretty big question mark over this team. Right, let's finish off on Argentina, because I find Argentina such a strange team. I love watching them. I love so much about them. But I find them really hard to judge, because at their best, they can beat anyone. But how often does that happen? I suppose a bit like what I've been saying with the Wallabies. And we've seen an example of that this year already, I think. They go and beat the Lions in Dublin, played some brilliant stuff, scored some incredible tries, incredible moment for them, but then they kind of struggled to impress against what was a second-string England team, really. When you look at all the players England had away with the Lions, at home, not winning either of those 2 tests. Great result for England, by the way. I think that's really impressive. Probably goes under the radar. Certainly up north, it goes under the radar in a Lions year, but really impressive from an English point of view. But for Argentina, I'm just kind of like, where is this team? And they do have players coming back. They didn't have their full strength team, but I still think they should have been able to beat England in those matches, given the players that England were missing. And I always see it with the Rugby Championship. We have seen them beat New Zealand, pick up some amazing results, often away from home, actually. They're not always as impressive at home, which is weird. So what do they look like in this championship? They could end up shocking us and getting some incredible results and throwing a cat amongst the pigeons and just flipping the whole championship on its head. Or they might be a team that underwhelms. So I don't really know with Argentina. What do you think we're going to see from them? I'm excited to see them certainly take on the All Blacks in the opening weekend, but what are they going to look like? Let me know. Give me your views in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I hope you enjoy all of the content that is coming your way across the course of the Rugby Championship. I will say, it feels quite strange to have gone from being on the ground covering an actual series to just being back home in front of a blank wall doing videos for you, but I hope you enjoy it. Maybe one of these days I'll get myself to South Africa or New Zealand to actually cover some of these games, because that would be bucket list stuff. That would be unbelievable. Maybe that game at Eden Park, or I don't know, at Ellis Park or something. I need to circle it in the calendar and work out how I'm going to be able to do it, because that would be awesome. But yeah, let me know your views. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video as well, and I'll see you in the next one.